18th of July is a very special day for us in the ANC. That was not only the day when Nelson Mandela was born, but it is a day when we should be doing good works for the people of this country. Precisely what Nelson Mandela taught us. In one of his seminal speeches, he said something quite significant, which still rings a bell in my own head, when he said, "With life, it is not important whether you have lived. What is important is whether, in leading your own life, you have made a difference to the lives of other people." And he said, it is only then when you have made a difference to the lives of other people that it can be said that your own life has been well lived. Now that, in many words, epitomizes who Nelson Mandela was, and he will continue to be to the people of this country. I have really wonderful and fond, as well as long-lasting memories of Nelson Mandela in the way that he lived his life. And that means that he stands out as a good example, a good role model of how all of us, not only ordinary people, but also leaders, should so live their lives that they should make an impact, and a positive impact for that matter, on the lives of other people.
Looking back, you've worked a great deal with the Tata. Can you perhaps share with us what some of the greatest challenges were during the time that you were working together, and also what are some of the key lessons and inspirations that you drew from working with him?
Well, when one worked with Tata Nelson Mandela, is that you had to be very brave, you had to be courageous, because he was one person who never shied away from any challenge. Wherever there was danger, wherever there was a huge problem, that's where he would be going. And he always sought to lead us and take us along with him. And I think one of the key challenges that we faced was how, at one point during our transitional period, we had to deal with the issue of the resistance of the African right-wingers, to bring them along to be part of the changes that needed to take place. And they were armed to the teeth, they were part of the armed forces, and they were very reluctant to be part of the change processes. So that was a challenge which not many leaders could have confronted with great ease. But with Nelson Mandela leading us from the front, we were able to overcome even that difficult moment when other South Africans were not very keen to be part of the change process that was taking place in the country. And that is why Nelson Mandela's life is so important to us as South Africans. It is important because he is one person who truly lived the values that are enshrined in the principles of the ANC, the Freedom Charter, where he committed his life, committed his skills, committed his knowledge and his intellect towards building a nation. But the other challenge that Nelson Mandela had to face was how to address the issues of poverty, of inequality, and the many challenges that beset the oppressed masses of our country. Now, that is a problem that he had to deal with from day one. How to make sure that the people who had been impoverished by the terrible, evil system of apartheid, how was he going as a leader to address that? And by large measure, Nelson Mandela is the one who then instituted this disposition of care that our government has had to poor people, to people who are afflicted by a whole number of challenges and problems. Soon after he was elected, he traveled to New York. And when he got to New York, one of the questions he was asked at a press conference, they said to him, Mr. Nelson Mandela, how are you going to make sure that the expectations of your people are met? Don't you think that your people will lose hope because they've got so many expectations and apartheid has set them back so much? Will you, Mr. Mandela, be able to lead your people towards achieving those ideals and aspirations? And Tata Nelson Mandela said, you know, our people have a deep understanding of where we come from. They have a deep understanding of what apartheid did to them. And they also have a forward-looking understanding and expectation of what their government is going to do. And he then said something quite important. He said, our people are going to see us meeting their expectation on an ongoing basis. And that is what is going to give them hope, that we are addressing their needs and addressing the challenges that they face. When one looks from a historical perspective at all that, 21 years later, I think many of us will testify to the fact that 21 years later, we have done a great deal to do precisely what Nelson Mandela was saying, that on an ongoing basis we will seek to meet the aspirations of our people. So I'm satisfied that we have embarked on a journey of meeting the aspirations of our people. We are not yet where we want to be, but we have not been sitting on our laurels. Nelson Mandela, where he is today, will be able to look back and say, wow, they have not let the revolution down. What we started 21 years ago with Walter Sisulu, Oliver Tambo, Chris Hani, they have taken steps to try to meet. And this is an ever unfolding, wonderful story of South Africa. We are still going to do many more greater things than what we had ever envisaged 21 years ago.
Yep. But Comrade DP, there are some critics who would actually say the opposite, that we have let Tata down, that the ANC of today has deviated from what was the legacy of Tata. What would you say to them?
Well, in the end, the real taste of that, as they say, the taste is in eating of the pudding. The real taste of that, the real arbiter is our people. Our people on the ground. And we are having a great taste of it now as we're going around campaigning for the local government elections. As we go around house to house, and I can say I've been to many, many houses around the country. Our people are forever saying, we thank the ANC, we thank Nelson Mandela and the ANC government for the unbelievable changes they've brought about in our lives. And they say, today we have houses. Today our children go to school and we don't pay school fees. Today we've got electricity. I went to some of the deep rural areas in our country and they have electricity. I remember going to the deep rural areas where my grandmother lived years ago. They would never have dreamt of having electricity. Today, they have electricity. They have sanitation right deep in the rural areas. And the informal settlements are going to be eliminated. It is only those who are hugely dishonest with themselves and with the truth who will today say, we have not changed South Africa. Everybody who is honest will say, this country is vastly different from the country that we had in 1994. Why is that so? Because the ANC government has demonstrated care, has demonstrated its commitment towards delivering a better life to our people. The ANC is the only party that has had a vision for South Africa, that has outlined what it would like to do for our people, to give them a better life. So I would say, in the end, the people of this country will be well served by returning the ANC back into power in the various local councils, because we still have work to do. We still have programs to put in place, and we've got huge plans to continue transforming the towns of our country, the metros in our country, and indeed to transform the whole country. And we say, don't interrupt that. Vote for the ANC again so that the ANC can continue with its good work, because only the ANC can do the work that we are doing. No other party is qualified, and only ANC candidates, only ANC mayors have the capability of taking this country forward.
In a DP, we are hosting the Siyanqoba rally on the 31st of July as the final push towards the local government elections. What are you most looking forward to about the Siyanqoba rally?
Well, Siyanqoba rallies for us as the ANC are moments of great celebration prior to victory. It is called Siyanqoba rally because it is when the ANC is saying to the whole nation, we are sure, on the basis of our record, on the basis of our policies, on the basis of what we have done, that we are going to be victorious. We are also sure on the basis of the support of our people that we are going to be victorious. And that is when the ANC family comes out in their bright colors and demonstrate that indeed we are going to win. And it's a mobilizing moment. It is the high point of our election campaign. And everybody is just excited and dizzy with the smell of victory. Because the smell of victory is very sweet. And that is what we as the ANC are accustomed to. So the Siyanqoba rally is going to be full to the brim. And it will be pulsating. And it will be weaving and moving with ANC songs, ANC dance. ANC will be demonstrating to the whole nation that we are the only hope of this country. And we'll be doing it with the president's address, with song, dance, speech. We'll be doing, and we will be finally mobilizing everyone to go vote ANC. And that is what actually gets the masses to push for the final drive. And then we romp home to victory, and the ANC is back in the office again, all over the country.